Hey, it's America's Supermom. Thank you for joining me on my podcast. This series is the Corona Chronicles. I created this so that we would have an outlet of positivity in the midst of a lot of negativity. You know what I'm talking about. All the news, the fear around this virus, how it can affect us, what the new normal is looking like, and how so many things have changed that a lot of people feel like um, it is the end of the world, so to speak. So, this podcast was created so that those of us who have hope, who are willing to move forward with this new normal and innovate new things that will help us to be creative and positive. That is what this platform is for us to come together and share that positivity and that light with those who may need it. So if you're interested in sharing your insight, please reach out because we can never have enough positive news. So sit back and enjoy the show. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. I'm really excited about my next guest, S.J. Stevens. We have not met before, but we got connected through social media and her finding out about the podcast. So I'm really excited to dive into different topics, especially self care. That's something that she is very excited about. And during these times where we can just be tossed to and fro with so much uncertainty, self care is one of my non negotiables, having overcome depression myself. So at this time, I'm going to give SJ the opportunity to introduce herself, and then we'll go into the interview.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much for having me. My name is SJ Stevens. I am the founder and CEO of SJS Business Building and More. What I do there is I like to just simply say I am a business builder. I primarily write grants, business plans, and focus on nonprofit organization, a startup,
Mm.
but there's really not anything with nonprofits that I'm not able to do. I sit on a funders group here in St. Louis, Missouri, where we approve the grants that come in for certain organizations. And I'm also a contract grant writer for an organization based out of Mississippi. So all things nonprofit, that's my
Mm.
thing. That's what I do.
That is awesome. So, this is a good topic to kind of dive into because there's so many different needs right now for people that are unemployed, people that need to reinvent themselves, in a different industry because, their job has been eliminated. So, for people who have a passion to help others, what advice would you give them with starting a nonprofit, and what areas should they probably focus on during this time?
Now is the most amazing time to start a business. This is actually COVID is what got me here, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have been in nonprofit leadership at different organizations for the past 4 years.
Mhm.
And I have always written grants for like friends or if people would ask me, but never thought about making it a business. It was just something that I kind of did. I didn't even charge most of the time. And so when COVID happened, right when this got scary in March, I
Mhm.
ended up on 14-day quarantine. I had three of my staff members test positive, like within days.
Mm.
So quarantined at home. And remember when this first started, it was really unknown, if you can touch something, if you can breathe it in. So I
Right.
literally did not leave the house for 14 days.
Mhm.
And so I didn't get sick. I never had any symptoms, but it really gave me a chance to sit down and focus on what do I want to do? Where do I want to see myself, in 2, 3 years? And
Mhm.
so I've always had a personal goal to walk away from anybody's job by the time I was 43. I'm 39. So
Mhm.
literally, I took those 2 weeks. I did the research. I figured out, how could I take this passion of mine, which is serving, which is helping others, and make it something that can pay the bills. Because at this
Mhm.
time, I was uncertain about my job.
Oh,
Am I
okay.
gonna be able to go back full time? Or are they going to close? I just didn't know. By
Mhm.
the time the 14-day quarantine was up, I had developed a website. I've never done a website a day in my life. I had did a website. I had my own business plan. I had registered my business. So what I advise anybody is just whatever it is that you love to do, nine times
Mhm.
out of 10, there's a way to make it profitable. Never
Mhm.
would I have imagined writing grants, even though I know that's a real job. People do it at organizations every day. Never did I think as an independent, as an individual person that
Mhm.
what I'm doing. My business was legally established June the 3rd. I
Mhm.
already have a client in Uganda, Haiti,
Wow.
Peru. Probably 75% of my clients are people that are not in St. Louis. It's not, friends or family, it's complete strangers. So
Mhm.
like, when you really find something that you're good at and you're passionate about, as long as
Mhm.
you're a genuine person and you're honest, the customers will come. I have not,
Mhm.
had any issues so far. It's been an amazing ride.
That is awesome. Now, so give the audience some tips on how you were able to create this ability to reach the right people, because I think that's another thing. People say, "Oh, I have this business." You put the website up, but you're lost in a haystack. So, how did you get yourself to a point to where you contacted the right people, or they were drawn to you?
So one of my biggest fears actually is public speaking.
Mhm.
Even doing a podcast like this where you can't see me, and it's my fear. I don't like speaking, and I really don't like speaking about myself. So
Mhm.
I challenged myself. That was my personal challenge. You need to start talking. If people know what you do, then they will come to you if it's meant to be. And so the first thing
Mm.
that I did for promotion was there's a guy on my Facebook page. He does a podcast, and I think it's a couple shows every week. But he reached out to me and said, I would like to interview you. When I say scared to death, like I almost canceled the morning of, but then I felt really bad because he was waiting on me. And so I did it and I struggled and I messed up and it was a mess to me. But by the time that first phone call was over, a woman had inboxed me and said, I loved it. I loved your energy. I could tell you were nervous, but I can also tell this is your passion. And so that one inbox led to
Mm.
my grant writing position that I have with the contract company in Mississippi. And it was like from there, it just kind of took off. Word of mouth is amazing.
Mhm.
I also utilize Google. I had no idea that there were free ways to advertise on Google. I've always seen where you can buy a Google ad and they're not
Mhm.
cheap. There is a free way to advertise on Google. You can make posts on Google, you can put pictures, you can do all sorts of
Mm.
amazing stuff. Yeah, so I always tell people, even if you have the money to do stuff, let's try the free options first. I have
Mhm.
not had to pay for any advertising so far. I've not paid for any ads or paid for anything. I utilize social media to the best of
Mhm.
my ability. I joined a lot of nonprofit organization groups on Facebook. I network on LinkedIn. So you just have to be willing to reach out and say what you're doing. People that I've known for years said to me, we had no idea that this is what you did. We had no idea
Mm.
capable of it. And it's because that's that fear of mine. I didn't want to speak. I didn't want to seem like I was bragging but the second
Right.
in my mouth, the second, it literally has been nonstop since
That's
I started.
that is awesome. Now, so give us some insight into some of these free things on Google, because
Oh my
there's so much technology that changes. It's hard to keep up with everything.
it
So I'm always into the free stuff.
Oh, me too. Trust me, I'm looking for the free first. But with this Google, if you have a Google email account, if you don't have one, then get one. But as
Okay.
long as you have a Google account, you can get a Google phone number so that when you
Mm,
are advertising your business, people aren't calling your personal phone.
mm,
So you can get a Google number, and the way it does is over the computer, but it links to your phone. So when people dial
mm,
the number, it rings to your regular cell phone. When you dial out, you have the option to use your primary number or use this fictional number so that nobody has
mm.
your number. That's amazing because I was thinking I need to get a business phone because I don't want people calling me. Nope,
Right.
covered. Um, Google, when I say literally, they're always gonna pop up the paid advertisement first. Just
Mm-hmm.
past that. We don't want that. But once you register your business name under your Google account, it
Mm-hmm.
gives you the ability. Right now, if you search SJS Business Building, and you ain't got to put the .com, you don't have to go directly to my website. But if you put that in the browser on Google, everything pops up. I have it
Oh.
and see my location. I probably post pictures on there. Maybe once or twice a week, I need to get a little bit better on it because what you can do is you can attach a picture and
Mm-hmm.
these like keywords behind it. So like I did a brand
Mm,
photo shoot about a month ago. Really pretty picture, but I know people are really visual. So if you look at
mm-hmm.
the picture, you won't have a clue that it's about grant writing or anything like that. It's a pretty picture. But what
Mm-hmm.
I did was I coded that picture with words like grant writer, nonprofit professional, business builder,
Mm,
all of that good stuff. So if you search any of those words, this really pretty picture of this amazing woman's gonna pop up. You're gonna click on it because you want to see what it is. Takes you right to my website.
that's awesome.
Yes. It's like you have to kind of know how to trick the system, so to speak. But people are
Mm-hmm.
visible, and that's what I learned. I was putting out all of this, all of these Word documents and grant writing, this, that, and the other, and it wasn't really creating any traction.
Mm-hmm.
Put that picture up there. Listen, it's going down now.
That is awesome. That's awesome. Now, so for people who hear about nonprofits, they're just a little nervous. It's like, I'm not going to make any money. That's one idea people could think. Or it's so much work. Or, I'm one person. I mean, am I really going to be able to have the resources to, move forward with a nonprofit? What would you say to those people who are on the fence about it?
I would first of all never deny that it's work. It's hard work.
Mhm.
It's very
Mhm.
hard work actually. Um, Only because it's so important for anything that you run or put your name behind, you need to fully understand it. That's how you prevent, people from coming into your organization, taking over. Because with a nonprofit, they can vote you out. So you want to make sure that you
Mhm.
know everything there is to know about your
Mhm.
organization. You want to structure it right. So it's a lot of work. But as far as it being something that you can only do as one person, you can't. There's not a realistic way to run a nonprofit alone. For one, you have to have a board. That's in
Mhm.
any state. So you have to have a board. Most boards are at least three members, but
Mhm.
sometimes they're much bigger. But so the key to me is getting a solid team. And don't go get all
Mhm.
your friends, your cousins, your aunties, not that kind of solid team. You really
Mhm.
need people from the community that are respected people in the community, that are business people in the community. Because the
Mhm.
board has the ability, like I said, for one, they can vote you out of your own organization. And for
Okay.
two, the board is who makes all of the big decisions. Like they help with the hiring and firing. They have to approve your budgets. Your board is expected to contribute financially to your organization. So you really want to have solid people on your team. And to me,
Mhm.
my experience has been Once you get that solid team, it's still going to be work, don't get me wrong, but it's much easier, because you're not
Mm-hmm.
dependent on yourself. You're not always second guessing yourself because you have to run it by these other people first, so it
Mm.
makes it easier. And yes, you can absolutely get paid running a nonprofit. Now, are you going to get paid maybe the first year? Maybe not. The goal
Mm-hmm.
is to raise as many funds as you can. Fundraising, private donors. You, of course, want to get whatever grants you can get. That's your foundation. But the goal is to eventually have enough income coming in that you can write yourself into your budget.
Mm.
You can make yourself, or the board, I guess, can make you the executive director, and they can write a salary in for you. It has to all go through the board, though. So
Okay.
there's ways to make money. It's just not like I started this today, I want my salary tomorrow. That's not gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Okay. And what type of criteria? You mentioned that they're community, community involved people, or strong standing. What would be a good, somewhat checklist that people should follow when it comes to knowing who to associate with their nonprofit?
So it really depends on what type of nonprofit. I'll use myself as an example. Outside of the grant writing, I am also in the process of opening up a domestic violence safe haven, and it's 100%
Mhm.
nonprofit. So
Mhm.
the safe haven is named after my stepson who was killed 2 years ago. So on this
Mm.
board, I of course have his mother, simply because it's his mother for one, and she's my friend, but she's an upstanding member of the community. She is an electrician. So she's totally different than what I am background wise, which means
Mhm.
that she's going to question everything I say because she doesn't understand it. This is not her world. So you
Mm.
want somebody that can challenge you. You want people that
Mhm.
are going to make you explain. Like I would never go get everybody that I've ever worked with before. We're in the same circle because then you fall into that group think. You fall into
Mm.
that, okay, well, she said it, it's got to be a good idea. No, you want people that are going to push you, that are going to question you and challenge you. So I have her as a board member. I also have a teenager on my book. And the
Mm.
reason why I got a teenager is because I want to appeal to all ages, all people. You can be a victim of domestic violence at 15, 16 if you're in a wrong relationship,
Mm.
you know,
Mhm.
and that wasn't my life. So I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what these kids
Mm.
are in school talking about. I have a high school student myself, but like he's a boy, he's not talking. But so I went and got a
Mhm.
little girl, and she has no problem saying these are the issues that we face dating at this age. This is what's happened to
Mm.
me at this age. So it gives me a fresh set of eyes when we are putting together, we want to do a lot of workshops. Women's empowerment and healthy relationships and all those kind of things by having someone that is 20 years younger than me, that is experiencing
Mhm.
things that at that age I never even knew existed, it helps me to target that population. So you
Mhm.
really just want to get a diverse group of people. I have another friend who is an amazing businesswoman. Like she is probably the most unemotional person I've ever met. But when it comes to business, she is the most on point person that I've ever met.
Mm.
So what she does for me is where I am. I'm an emotional person. I'm emotions driven. She is like the
Mhm.
checks and balances. Like I understand your
Mhm.
passion. This makes sense, but this is not going to make dollars. This is not
Mhm.
going to be what we need to focus on right now. Like we can circle back to that. Like, so you have to have people that will really truly keep you together. Your board should be as
Mhm.
diverse as possible. I want men, women, the young,
Mhm.
the old, the retired. You just really want to diversify it as much as you can.
Mhm. Mhm. That's good. I mean, some great pointers. Now,
Hmm.
this is really a thing about mindset. Listening to you having a respect and a curiosity to hear other people's perspectives and to use that knowledge to better yourself. So, what do you do in your routines to keep you in that mindset?
I am very intentional about the way that I process things and the way that I
Hmm.
accept things now. I used to be oh, I know it all. You can't tell me, anything. I got this. I used to have that mindset. And then I just
Hmm.
realized that I absolutely know a lot. Like, let's be clear, I know a lot, but
Hmm.
I don't know everything because I've not been through everything. I've not experienced
Hmm.
everything. And so just because someone gives you advice or tells you a way to do something, it doesn't mean you have to go with that, but I allow myself to just be open enough to receive it. I may take it
Hmm.
and I may not, but I just really think that everybody has a different perspective. We've all come from different walks of life. So, what makes perfect sense to me, you may hear it and be like, that makes absolutely no sense. And
Hmm.
it's not for us just to disagree. I'm able to sit down and say, okay, tell me why you feel this. And I'll tell you why I feel this. And we typically can just meet in the middle. And so I
Hmm.
feel like people just really have to be open. And I also have to realize, and this was definitely a big personal flaw of mine, was thinking, people, you don't want to see me win, so you're not going to give me good advice, or people are
Hmm.
haters, so they're not going to tell you the real deal. That has been the absolute furthest thing from my reality.
Hmm.
It's like when you think like that, that's what you attract. You bring in those
Right.
negative people. You bring in the people that don't want to see you succeed. The moment that I truly just surrendered and said, this is what I want to do. I want to make an impact in this way. And I need a tribe to help me do that because I can't do it by myself. The second I surrendered all of those negative, mean girl vibes that I used to have, when I say the people that I am surrounded by now are so amazing, they keep me so grounded.
Hmm.
Somebody can tell me, SJ, this is wrong. I don't like it. Do it again. And I'm not even offended anymore. My question is, well,
Hmm.
tell me how I can do it better. That's how
Hmm.
I approach things now. Everybody isn't out to get you. There are really strangers that want to see you
Hmm.
succeed. You just have to be open to it.
I love that. Now, and then the last question, this is great. We're moving right along, is, relationships.
Okay.
So you mentioned your nonprofit and how you are on a board with your stepson's mother. So a lot of people feel like, um, I can't be friends with the other person from my husband's past, or all these different things. So talk to us about how you're able to have a good relationship to the point of even being a part of business with your stepson's mom.
Oh my God. And everybody that knows me knows I am like the co-parent guru. I'm really considering writing a book on this topic because for
Mhm.
me, so I have a 16-year-old
Mhm.
and my bonus baby, he's 21. When I met their dad, he was maybe one or two. And so
Mhm.
that's my baby. That's
Mhm.
my kiddo. I don't ever say I just have one child. Those are my boys. And
Mhm.
so for a very long time, it was very strained between myself and his mother. We
Mhm.
didn't talk. I think I'm maybe 10 years younger than her. And so it was like,
Mhm.
what is this little girl doing? All of that.
Mhm.
And I never fed into it. I continue to do. If I came and picked up my child, I was picking up her child. If I'm buying
Mhm.
clothes for one child, I'm buying for two. It was never to get anything back. My mindset was, this is my son's brother. Like, he's
Mhm.
a kid. He's not done anything to me. And so it
Mhm.
really, really kicked up for us. And I've always been that way. Even when me and my son's father, we, split and he's had girlfriends, I can be anybody's friend because my big picture is my children. My
Mhm.
big picture is for them to see nothing but happiness, that you can coexist when you're not in a relationship. A breakup is not a death. It's just we've
Mhm.
moved on. So the older boy was turning 18 and
Mhm.
he wanted to have a birthday dinner. And I'm like, yes, let's get it. And so he's talking to me and he's like, well, I got to have, I think it was 3 or 4 dinners. I'm like, why? How many people do you know? And he's like, well, no, like I gotta have one for my mom's side of the family. I gotta have one for you. I gotta have one for my granny. And I was like, why do you have to do that? And he was like, well, I don't want anybody to be uncomfortable. I don't want it to be weird or people not show up. And I was like, oh no. And like, it was really at
Mhm.
that moment that I saw how parents not being able to come together really affects the children. And so
Mm.
I told him, and I talked to dad and grandma and his mom, and I'm like, this baby is having one dinner, and whoever does not show up, shame on you, because it's not about who else is in the room. You're there for him. And when I
Mhm.
say we had the dinner, it was amazing. Like, and it really was, I've always had that mindset, but it really changed everything for us. His mom
Wow.
now, she invites me to Christmas dinners. We're all going to Bali for my birthday. Like we can travel
Mm.
together. We go to sporting events together. When he left and went to college, we literally all went. And
Mm.
so I feel like once you get past the relationship, once you get past the adult issues, if your true
Mhm.
focus is, I love my children, I want them to be happy and productive, then you can do it. It's no
Mhm.
problem. My son's father, he's remarried now, and he's out of town working at this moment. Couple weeks
Mhm.
ago, 4th of July, not a couple weeks ago, 4th of July, his wife called and she was like, hey,
Mhm.
I'm barbecuing, you should come by. And so he's not even in town, but his wife invited
Mm.
me and my children went there. Oh, they have cars and stuff now. So we met out there, and it's nothing for me to sit there with her, and fellowship, her friends, her family. To me, if you love my children, I have no option but to love you.
Mm.
And
That's
I mean,
good.
it's peaceful. It's for us. I mean, we have our moments. Don't get me wrong. It's not
Mhm.
perfect. But when it comes to those children, it's as perfect as it can possibly be.
I love that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I guess one of the things that I would say, because a lot of people listening, I had two stepchildren myself, so I know that dynamic.
Uh-huh.
Um, how do you get past these adult issues?
Yeah.
We've said some things that we didn't mean, or, we have this thing that they're trying to get back at us and all this.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess some practical things that people could start right now, because it does take a bigger person to have some of these dialogues about, what's really going on beneath the surface rather than just trying to push everything under the rug.
Yeah, and that's it. And I also, for me and my son's father, we met when I was fairly young. I was 19. So we
Mhm.
genuinely had a friendship. Like
Mhm.
we were friends. We weren't just, people that messed around and had a baby. We were friends. We
Mhm.
intentionally had our son. And so for me, that was my intention. Whether he went on to marry somebody else or do whatever else, I felt no resentment. I love him.
Mhm.
He's very supportive of me. I don't have a lot of family here in St. Louis. So for a while, it was just me and him, and we weren't even in the same household. But if I say, help me, I need, he's on the way. And so
Mhm.
the respect that we have for each other, it has just trickled into the relationships around us. Anybody that I
Mm.
date, you don't have to be his friend, but he's here. And he's not only
Mhm.
here as the father of my son, he's here as my friend you know
Mm.
and so you have to establish those boundaries. There is no, of course we used to get all the, oh, you guys are still messing around because how could you still be friends? No,
Right.
I didn't have a child with somebody that I was just attracted to. I had a child with somebody that I loved and trusted, and that was my friend.
Mhm.
And so that didn't
Mhm.
go away when the relationship ended.
Right.
So it's work, but for me,
Mhm.
it's worth it. Like if you could see, my kids now, like I have so many pictures of, just me and the boys and me, the ex-wife, the new wife. Like our dynamic is
Mhm.
crazy. It's crazy.
That's awesome. And that gives a lot of people hope, especially during a time like this, because, that's the reality. You want to be able to have those monumental events, graduation,
Mm-hmm.
18th birthday, first driving, those moments, you want those to be great memories for the children to
Right.
be able to share that joy with their family. And, they don't look at it as, um, being limited by people being together or not.
Yeah.
If you're alive and in their life, they want you to
There.
be a part of that joy. So that's
Mhm.
good.
And
All right. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was gonna say I just think that a lot of people they don't really realize how important that is to kids. And like we talk to
Mhm.
our kids, like we are having real street talks to our children. And the difference that it made for them to be able to include everybody, I mean, it was like
Yeah.
it's amazing. Like people, oh, my baby had 3 parties with his mama, his daddy. Those kids are not really impressed by 3 parties. They really
Right.
want one party with everybody there. Give them all of this at once. It's so
So
draining
true.
for kids. And people don't
Yes.
get that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's true. And it's like, we're the adults, we should be the bigger person.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah,
Or they have that great party, but people are missing.
yeah. And
And
it's
we
just not
don't see
fun.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's good. Now, so what's the best way for the audience to get a hold of you?
Either my website or my email. So the website is
Mhm.
sjsbusinessbuilding.com.
Okay.
And my email address is info@sjsbusinessbuilding.
Okay.
So either email or website are the best things.
Awesome. Well, I just want to thank you for all these nuggets of insight that you've given us, and love your energy, and looking forward to collaborating with you again in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. You have a wonderful day, okay?
You do the same.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you for joining me on this episode. I really enjoy providing content that inspires and challenges us to be a better version of ourselves. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, please email me at info@lachelleatkins.com. You can also reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, or my YouTube channel. If there was something in this episode that resonated with you, it probably will resonate with someone else. So please share it. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. But those aha moments, those moments of really getting something and changing your perspective are very, very pivotal in having people change the trajectory of their lives. And so being able to share insightful information so that other people can grow is the easiest thing that we can do as we pay it forward. So, again, I want to thank you all for listening. And if you have time, write out a review. Go to iTunes, Anchor, wherever you can find this podcast on any of those platforms, and write a review about what impact this episode had on you, what you learned, or whatever. Any feedback is great because it just helps me to understand what content is really beneficial for those that are listening. So, again, I want to thank you all for your support and taking the time to spend some time with me and my guests. And I wish you a wonderful day. Thanks for listening.